Hashem. Today's daf yomi is Avodah Zarah daf Samach Beis Avodah Zarah 62. We're recording this from Yerushalayim Ira Kodesh. The daf yomi tells us Hasocher Asapol on 62a, and today's daf is dedicated for Shemir for the Chayalim. That's all for the Shvuyim and the Yeshua for Am Yisrael. The daf yomi tells us Hasocher Asapol, that one who hires a worker, and the reason why he hires him is he's saying that the person who hires him, whether a Jew or an idolater, says, "I want you to make the yain nesach for me, this idolatrous wine, scharo asar." Then he can't benefit from the work that he hired him to do. Sachro asosi malacha acheres, but if he hired him to do a different work, then Alpha Pisha Amaro, then even though he said to him, even though as part of this other work, he said to him, I want you to carry for me some yain nesach with this mimakom from one place to another, then scharo mutter, then his pay is be permitted because he wasn't explicitly hired to do the yain nesach. Hasocher sachamor, somebody who hires a donkey, yain nesach, and he says, I want to hire this donkey to carry on the donkey yain nesach. And under those circumstances, we're going to say scharo aser, his work is prohibited. But sachro le'shevaleh, but if he hired the donkey just to sit on it, even though the idolater in the end put his yain nesach on it, scharo mutter, then it's going to be permitted because the donkey wasn't explicitly hired to carry the yain nesach. Right. So when I first asked the question, my time is scharo aser, why is his work prohibited? Why is his salary prohibited if he was hired to carry the yain nesach? Ilema all the yain nesach aser ba'ana. If you want to say the reason is because the yain nesach is prohibited to have benefit from it. Therefore scharo nami aser, and so therefore his payment is also prohibited. Hari arwa v'koya kerem, but what about arwa? V'koya kerem, the prohibited fruit the first 3 years, and the fruits, the koyim of the vineyard. Surim bana, they're prohibited to have benefit. The Tanan, and we learned Malchron Makidish Bidman, that if you sold them or you consecrated a woman with you betrothed the woman with their money, then Mikudeshes. So basically, if you sold these things and then you betrothed a woman, she's betrothed. So we see that the whole, so we see from here that something that's prohibited to have benefit is not necessarily going to be prohibited. Their salary is prohibited. So we must be we have to say that yain nesach, the payment for it is prohibited because the money attaches to the value of it. The yain nesach attaches itself to the money, just like idolatry. Gemara says, but still, it should be permitted. The salary should be permitted because Hare Shvius. What about the sabbatical year? Fruit money that you make by selling fruit of the sabbatical year. The tofes estamera. That we say that the sabbatical year of fruits grab a hold of it, attach itself to its money. V'tanan, and we learned about the sabbatical year. Omer Paul Helech dinar zeh. Take this money and exchange l'kotli bo yerak. Basically, pick that vegetable for me in exchange for this money. Hayom scharo aser. Then you can't benefit from it because that's like you're selling the produce of the sabbatical year. But if he says I'm hiring you to do it, then scharo is mutter. So we see even by the sabbatical year, the money doesn't attach to your salary. So Amar Rabbi Avo, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Knasu Kshakansu Chachamim. No, the rabbis made a special penalty that if you were hired to work via Nesach, that you were penalized and you lost your salary. Knasu Shakansu Chachamim. That this was a penalty that the rabbis penalized you with respect to yain nesach and also the chamaron. Also, by donkey drivers would be yain nesach. Yain nesach is hadamar. We just said the yain nesach is going to be prohibited because we just said that it attaches to your salary. Chamar and mai. What do we mean when we say that the donkey drivers they also lose their salary? They can't benefit. Mahi. So the Gemara says this is based upon a source. The Tanya, if donkey drivers were hired to carry the fruits of the sabbatical year, then the Brisa says, the source says that their salary is considered sabbatical year. What does that mean? That it says that their salary is considered the salary of a sabbatical year. What does that mean? If you want to say it means the we're allowed to pay these donkey drivers who are working in the sabbatical year. We're allowed to pay them with the fruits of the sabbatical year. That's not allowed. You're not allowed to pay somebody's debts from the fruits of the sabbatical year. Because you're allowed to eat the fruits of the sabbatical year. You can trade them and do business. Must be ela de kiddush sachron the kedusha shvius. It must mean that if the donkey driver worked in the sabbatical year, and he was doing work to with the fruits of the sabbatical year, then we're going to say that his salary becomes the sanctified as though is this the kedusha shvius, the holiness of the sabbatical year, and therefore it's prohibited. Mar says, "Umi kaddish, would it really be prohibited?" If you say, "Pick this vegetable and sell to me," then the payment is. Then if you say, "Look, I'm hiring you to pick this vegetable for me," then it's permitted. But pick this vegetable for me, then meaning say if you say I'm hiring you and I'm paying you with this vegetable, it's going to be permitted. But if you say sell me this vegetable, then it's prohibited. So we see from here that your salary is permitted. So if you're paid for your sabbatical fruits. So Amar Abai, well, we have a different answer. Yavino eschar mi perish shvius. No, that the donkey driver can be paid from the fruits of shvius. So and it's not going to be prohibited. So and what about the fact that the source says that you're allowed to consume the fruits of the sabbatical year, but you can't pay someone with it? No, it means to say that you hire him and then you just give him these fruits in a permitted manner, not directly at salary, but you just give it to him as a gift. Even wink, wink. Like we learned in the Mishnah in like we learned in the Mishnah in hold on, where is it? In Meiser Sheni, chapter 3, Mishnah 1. Well, Yomar Adam, a person cannot say to his friend, we're on the top now of 62b, a person can't say to his friend, bring up these fruits for me to Jerusalem. And if you do that, I'll give you a portion of it. Basically, you can't pay somebody with the fruits of Meiser Sheni money. But you could say, bring them up and I'll give you a lot of them as a gift. So we see that it depends how you word it, but it's possibly permitted. The Rava Amar Rava says, no, if you pay a donkey driver with the work, as a result of the work he does for you, and you pay for the sabbatical year, then those fruits are going to get the sanctity of the sabbatical year. What about the worker, where we say the worker is not paid? Gemara says, well, the difference is how much money you're making. A worker in the field, he's not getting a lot of money, so we'll consul Rabban, and the rabbis didn't penalize him. But a donkey driver, the nafish agrayu, he's getting a lot of money, so consul Rabban, the rabbis penalized him. And as it relates to our Mishnah, the reason why, if you are hired to do the work of Yain Nesach, we say that you can't use that salary anymore, is because since Yain Nesach is the wine of idolaters, the rabbis were very strict on it, and so therefore that case is different. So now we said in our Mishnah that if you hire a person to work the Yain Nesach, he can't use that salary. The Yain Nesach is wine that was literally used for idolatry. But there's another type of wine of idolaters, and that's just regular wine that they didn't use for idolatry, but it's the wine of idolaters, which is called stam yenam, which is also prohibited to have benefit from, just like the wine of yain nesach. But this was a decree; it's a rabbinic decree, not a biblical law. So the question is, let's say you hired him just to work for the regular wine of the idolaters. Do we say mi amrina kivini surah chamor k'di yain nesach? Do we say since you can't benefit from it, just like you can't benefit from Yain Nesach, he also can't benefit from the salary? Or maybe because Yain Nesach is very strict with respect to the laws of Tuma, of ritual impurity. So Yain Nesach is going to be transmit Tuma very strict, like an olive-sized portion. Whereas Stam Yenam, only transmits tuma like a revius, so it's much more lenient. So do we say since its tuma is more lenient, avskar namikil? Also, the payment, the salary that you get for dealing with staminim is also going to be more lenient. So Tashma Sigmar tells us that who Gabra, there was a man, the Agar Arba was staminim. He hired a ship to transport his staminim. Yavle Chita Ba'agra. So basically, he rented out his ship, and they and for staminim, and so they gave him wheat as a payment. Also, coming to he says, "Go burn it and bury it." Meaning you can't get benefit from it. So the Gemara says, "Okay, that's the ruling, but let's analyze it." Lamele badrino. Why don't they just tell him to throw it into the air? Why does he have to bury it? No, Gemara says also then it would come and he would come and ruin it because people would use it as manure or something. Gemara says, why doesn't he burn it and then scatter it? No, they might use it as manure. Why do you have to burn it first? Why can't you just bury it? Let's say a person was executed, the stone or the tree or the sword that killed this person, or the handkerchief that strangled him, it's buried with him, but doesn't need to be burnt. Gemara says, no, well, in that case, since he was buried in the court, it's very clear that he was part of the people who was killed by the court. But in this case, so you wouldn't know the salary where it came from. People might think, oh, a person stole it and he's burying it, so therefore we have to burn it first. The Academy of Rabbi Yanai, they basically were paid with the fruits of the sabbatical year of the poor people. And they paid those poor people back with the 8th year's salary, with the fruits of the 8th year. So also Amrullah Rabbi Yochanan. So they came and they asked Rabbi Yochanan, it was okay. Amrullah Rabbi Yochanan said to them, "You always say Abdin." He says they're acting properly, and I'll prove it to you. Connected be'esnan mutter, just like the same way by an meaning to say. Also, by an esnan is permitted. What's an esnan? An esnan is a woman who is a harlot and she's paid. She can't take that payment and bring it as an offering in the temple. So to here, since at the moment that they took their money, the way that they took the fruits of the sabbatical year, the way they were paying it back was not extant. So therefore, it's not a direct exchange. And so too by an esnan. The Tanya, no salah, oh, actually, this is going to lead us. This price is going to lead us into tomorrow's daf. So tomorrow's daf, hopefully, I'll do a little earlier in the day. Today, I just want to make sure we didn't go a day without doing the daf together. So Yasha Koch, thank you for coming on, and Baruch Hashem. Tomorrow also we'll do the daf together.